So let's do a real quick review on the Mi4 and Mi6 pinpointers, XP, Mi6, Mi4. I've had the Mi4 probably for about 17 months, and I've had the Mi6 for about 10, 11 months. And I bought the Mi4 before I bought my Deus or my Orcs. And I just wanted a backup pinpointer because I know that the TRX pinpointers were no longer being produced, and I wasn't able to really get any more TRXs. This pinpointer, I find myself fumbling even now, even after 17 months after using this pinpointer for a lot of hours. I use these two pinpointers. I've been using them for the last 4 or 5 months, just exclusively, right? And I find myself just fumbling with this pinpointer because it's round, and that button there is so small and it's not very visible. See how it's covered up by the dirt there? I can't see that button. So when I pull it out of my sheath there, I need to look at this pinpointer. I don't want to have to look at my pinpointer every time I grab it out of my sheath, right? Because it's round, right? And then if it gets packed with dirt there, which we're digging in the dirt, right? We're not digging in, it's never going to be completely clean, unless you're using it really in the sand. But this pinpointer, the dirt plugs it up, right? So I'm always having to scrub it with my wire brush, clean it off so the button will actually push. But this end here, this end here is really hard to get off. This cap here to charge this pinpointer up, the Mi4. Both pinpointers are pretty much the same thing, right? After I got my Deus after I got my Orcs for a while, I decided to get the Mi6 because I wanted it to pair with my remote there. It worked fine. The Mi6 worked fine for about 3 months, but then I started having a lot of problems with it pairing to my remote and my headphones. So, the Mi6 is quite a bit more expensive than the Mi4. They're basically the same pinpointer, but just one has a transmitter a wireless transmitter to pair with your headphones and the remote. And I like the length of this detector. It was quite a bit bulky. This tip on here is pretty big compared to what I've been used to in the past. But it works very well in my soil here because I have hot soil. You have 2 different audio modes. I use the pitch tones. So when I get it in a hot hole there with a lot of minerals, I can tell that it's falsing on the soil. And trying to reach for that button there, with the regular the beeping tones or the pulse tones, it falses on the soil and it gives me a hit on it. With the pitch tones, it just gives me a low hum, right? Then when I get closer to that target, it goes like this. And the soil gives me a falsing tone, like a low hum, like this. But when I get near that target, it's going to give me a high tone, right? It's like a proximity sensor. But this is when it's in pitch tones. When I'm in pulse tones, it falses on my soil. It just gives me a hit on it, right? It sounds like it's a deep target, not in the pitch tones. The pitch tones, I can tell that I'm over some hot soil, right? And another thing with this remote here, if you do buy a Deus and you want to pair it up with your pinpointer, if you want to pair it up with your Mi6 pinpointer, it might work good at first. I've had a lot of comments on my channel. They've had the same problems with this pinpointer. It does go deep, but it's just such a burden trying to find where that button is at right when I pull it out. All my other pinpointers, right when I get it out of my sheath, I know I can just do that in my hand, right? Not even looking at it. With this pinpointer, I have to look at it because it's just round, right? I want to be able to dig out targets as fast as I can. If I can save 2 seconds finding that button or not having to find that button, I can just feel for it. Or if it had a larger button, I do these reviews on products so the engineers can develop or really develop these products a little bit better, right? You know, you can never get it all right for everybody with products, but this is the biggest flaw that I've had with this pinpointer, is not being able to find that button. You know, after I used it for a few months with my Deus, I was very happy with it paired to my Deus, but once I started having a lot of wireless problems, you know, pairing, connecting with my Deus, I just called it quits on that whole, you know, wireless pinpointer deal, right? So I just use both these pinpointers the exact same way, just as a standalone unit. They do go deep. They are, the batteries do last a long time in them, and they're rechargeable, but, you know, just having to find that button is just always been a burden for me, right? I don't want to take 2 seconds looking at my pinpointer and then scrubbing it off, all the mud off there, to find that button, right? And the button fills up with mud, so it makes it even harder to push that button. Sometimes it clogs up with dirt there, and the button won't even push, right? I've tried to put like a little tab on that so I can find it easier, but they just fall off, right? They just fall off. You know, when you put it in your pinpointer sheath, that button just eventually just starts popping off there, right? There's a little quick review of the Mi6 and Mi4 pinpointers. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.